There are moments, aren't there, when the whole world outside us seems to hold its breath. When the grand symphony of daily life, its demands, its clamor, its endless stream of information, fades into a distant hum, a whisper barely heard. In such rare, precious instances, the vastness of existence, with all its swirling complexities, quietly, profoundly narrows. It gathers itself, drawing inwards, until all that remains, all that truly matters, is a single, luminous point of presence. Have you felt it? That exquisite compression of reality? That singular point where everything converges, everything becomes clear. It happens, sometimes, between two people. Not merely a glance, not just a casual exchange of light and shadow, but a gaze, a true gaze. It is in that sacred, vibrant space, suspended between one pair of eyes and another, that the world, for a timeless instant, becomes exquisitely small. It becomes entirely contained within that silent, shimmering bridge of sight. Perhaps you remember a moment across a crowded room, or in the quiet intimacy of a shared space. A sudden, unexpected stillness. Your eyes meet, and in that meeting, something shifts. The air around you thickens, softens. The background noise, the pressing schedule, the very concept of time itself, all begin to dissolve. Like morning mist under a rising sun, worries recede, anxieties release their grip. What remains? Only breath, only the gaze. A shared breath, perhaps, falling into a rhythm you didn't consciously choose, yet feel deeply. A gaze that is not just seeing, but perceiving. This is not simply optical contact, you understand. It is far deeper than the mechanics of vision. This is an entry, an invitation into something ancient, something profoundly powerful. It is a gateway etched into the very fabric of our being, a doorway that has stood open since the dawn of humanity. When we speak of intimacy, of connection, of truly knowing another, this is the profound current we are seeking. This is the truth our souls yearn to touch. It is the language through which the soul speaks, beyond words, beyond touch, in the silent echo of recognition. It is what we often, so very often, lose. Lost in the relentless noise of the external world. Lost in the endless scroll of screens, the constant demands on our attention, the fragmented nature of modern existence. We become adept at looking at things, at people, at life itself, without ever truly seeing them. We skim the surface, afraid perhaps of the depth that lies beneath, or simply too distracted to dive in. Our gaze becomes a habit, not an act of presence. And in this loss, we don't just lose a fleeting moment of connection, we lose a vital thread to our own aliveness. When energy is blocked in this way, when our capacity for deep, soulful presence diminishes, we don't lose sex in the superficial sense, we lose vitality itself. We lose the animating force that makes life vibrant, creative, and truly meaningful. But the capacity to return to this space, to this deep, resonant presence, never truly leaves us. It simply waits. Waits for a moment of quiet intention, a willingness to slow down, to breathe, to truly see. It waits for us to remember that desire is not merely the body calling out for physical release, but often it is the soul singing a longing for unity, for remembrance. Attraction is not sin. It is the universe remembering itself, calling out for reunion, for a sacred dance of energy that transcends the purely physical. Consider the power held within such a gaze. When a man truly looks at a woman, not as an object to be consumed or a problem to be solved, but as a living, breathing landscape of spirit and form, something awakens. And when a woman breathes deeply, allowing herself to be seen, to be met in that sacred space, life breathes with her. The energy within them, between them, flows not just as a spark of passion, but as life itself, a creative, healing, sacred current. This isn't about grand gestures or dramatic pronouncements. It's about the subtle art of presence, the courage to be still, the willingness to let your own inner world meet another's, without agenda, without fear. A man doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder, when his gaze hardens into expectation or indifference. A woman doesn't fade with time. She dims when her inner light of acceptance and self-love is no longer reflected in the eyes that meet hers, or when she ceases to offer that reflection to herself. To reclaim this power, this vitality, is to reclaim our innate capacity for wonder, for reverence, for the sacred dance of energy that animates all of existence. It is to remember that the most profound intimacy begins not with touch, but with sight, with the courageous act of offering and receiving the full, undivided attention of our being. This is an invitation to remember, an invitation to feel the gentle pull of that ancient current, to recognize the profound truth held within the simple act of looking, truly looking at another, or even at yourself in the quiet solitude of your own reflection. To allow the world to narrow, to simplify, to distill itself into that potent space between gazes, where nothing else matters but the pure, unadulterated presence of now. It is a reminder that the deepest connections are not forged through grand efforts, but through profound stillness, through the courageous willingness to be seen and to truly see. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. Yet, how very often, do we allow this sacred space, this hallowed ground between two souls, to simply vanish? How frequently do we rush past it, oblivious, distracted, burdened by the echoes of a world that demands so much, while offering so little in return for our true presence? Imagine a subtle, almost invisible mist, a shimmering, shifting curtain that descends slowly, imperceptibly between you and the one standing before you. This is the veil of distractions. It is woven from the ceaseless hum of the city, not just the sound, but the urgency it represents, the constant pull of external demands that whisper, or rather shout, for our attention. It is fashioned from the glow of screens, these luminous rectangles that promise connection, yet often deliver only fragmented echoes of reality, drawing our gaze away from the living, breathing presence beside us. Think of the screens. They offer a constant stream of information, of other lives, other demands. They invite us into a vast, intricate web of data, a tapestry of the external world that can feel more urgent, more immediate than the quiet miracle unfolding right here in this very moment. We scroll, we compare, we consume. And in that consumption, our attention, our most precious currency, is spent elsewhere. This is an invitation to remember, an invitation to feel the gentle pull of that ancient current, to recognize the profound truth held within the simple act of looking, truly looking at another, or even at yourself in the quiet solitude of your own reflection, to allow the world to narrow, to simplify, to distill itself into that potent space between gazes, where nothing else matters but the pure, unadulterated presence of now. It is a reminder that the deepest connections are not forged through grand efforts, but through profound stillness, through the courageous willingness to be seen and to truly see. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. Yet, how very often, do we allow this sacred space, this hallowed ground between two souls, to simply vanish? How frequently do we rush past it, oblivious, distracted, burdened by the echoes of a world that demands so much while offering so little in return for our true presence? Imagine a subtle, almost invisible mist, a shimmering, shifting curtain that descends slowly, imperceptibly between you and the one standing before you. This is the veil of distractions. It is woven from the ceaseless hum of the city, not just the sound, but the urgency it represents, the constant pull of external demands that whisper, or rather shout, for our attention. It is fashioned from the glow of screens, these luminous rectangles that promise connection, yet often deliver only fragmented echoes of reality, drawing our gaze away from the living, breathing presence beside us. Think of the screens. They offer a constant stream of information, of other lives, other demands. They invite us into a vast, intricate web of data, a tapestry of the external world that can feel more urgent, more immediate than the quiet miracle unfolding right here in this very moment. We scroll, we compare, we consume, and in that consumption, our attention, our most precious currency, is spent elsewhere. It's a subtle shift, isn't it? From the deep well of presence to the shallow ripple of constant stimulation. This digital veil, so thin, so pervasive, becomes a barrier not just to sight, but to seeing. To truly seeing the soul behind the eyes, the vulnerability within the skin. And then there are the burdens that weigh upon us. The unpaid bills, perhaps, a persistent whisper of worry in the back of the mind. The quiet anxieties about tomorrow, the future, the myriad responsibilities that tug at our sleeves, demanding solutions, demanding action. These are not trivial concerns, no. They are very real, but they can become dense clouds, obscuring the inner landscape, stealing the energy that might otherwise flow freely between two people. They become a heavy cloak, wrapping us in a cocoon of responsibility, making it difficult to shed the armor and simply be. And what of the unspoken grievances? The words that were never said, the wounds that were never healed, the small, sharp edges of resentment that accumulate over time. These are perhaps the densest threads in the veil. They are born from a fear of vulnerability, a hesitation to lay bare our true feelings, to risk misunderstanding, to risk pain. These unspoken things, they do not disappear. No, they solidify. They create invisible walls within us, walls that project outwards, building a silent barrier between hearts. They drain our energy, not with a sudden rush, but with a slow, constant seep, like a leaking vessel. We carry these burdens, these silent hurts, into every interaction, and they cast long shadows over the potential for connection. This veil, once woven from these threads of distraction and burden, obstructs our vision. Not merely the physical act of seeing, but the deeper, more profound act of seeing with the soul. It prevents us from perceiving the subtle dance of energy, the silent symphony of emotion that plays out in the space between two beings. And when this energy is blocked, when the current of life is impeded, we lose something far more profound than just the sharpness of our senses. We lose vitality. We lose the very spark that ignites our joy, our creativity, our passion for life itself. Consider this: when energy is blocked, we don't just lose the capacity for profound intimacy. We lose vitality. We lose the vibrancy that makes life feel truly lived. The world becomes a little duller, colors a little less bright, music a little less resonant. The zest, the élan vital, begins to recede. We become weary, not just physically, but deep in our spirit. The wellspring of our being seems to recede, replaced by a quiet fatigue that permeates everything. And so, we begin to avoid that deep gaze. We shy away from the intensity of true presence. Why? Because it asks something of us. It demands our absolute presence. It calls for a profound vulnerability, an openness that can feel terrifying in a world that often rewards guardedness. It asks us to drop the mask, to shed the armor, to stand naked not just in body, but in soul. And in that raw, exposed state, we feel everything: the joy, the pain, the fear, the boundless love. It is a powerful current, and sometimes, in our weariness, in our distraction, we simply cannot bear its intensity. We retreat. We seek comfort in the familiar, in the superficial, in the constant buzz of the external world, rather than confronting the profound depth that awaits us in the quiet space between two eyes. Sometimes, too, we simply forget. We forget what it feels like when the world truly narrows, when all sound fades, when time itself seems to suspend its relentless march, and there is only the space between us, only the breath, only the shared flicker of recognition in the eyes, only the profound, unspoken knowing that flows like a silent river between two souls. We forget the exquisite beauty of that moment, the way it nourishes and replenishes us at the deepest level. And in forgetting, we lose our way back to it. The journey back is not about force. It is not about technique. It is about remembering. Remembering the sacredness of your own presence and the presence of another. It is about gently lifting the veil, thread by thread, and allowing the light to return. It is about understanding that this energy, this life force, is always within you, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to flow. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. We speak of intimacy. We speak of connection. But what truly transpires in that sacred space, between two souls? It begins often with a glance, a silent recognition, a moment suspended in time. The world narrows, yes, to the space between their eyes. But what unfolds there is far more profound than mere vision. It is an exchange, a deeply subtle yet immensely powerful exchange of energy. Not just light reflecting from the iris, but a vibration, a current. It flows, unseen, yet undeniably felt. This is the very essence of life moving between them. A dance of frequencies, a silent conversation of being. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. A stream that nourishes, that quickens, that reminds each one of their own vibrant core. It's a primal energy, yes, but not crude, not base. It is the sophisticated language of creation, the oldest story, the one whispered from the dawn of time. Desire. We often misunderstand this word. We burden it with judgment, with shame. But desire, at its purest, is the language through which the soul speaks. It is the soul's yearning for reunion, for completion. It is a deep internal hum, calling out for resonance. It seeks not just the physical form, but the spirit that animates it. It longs for understanding, for recognition. Imagine a fine, shimmering thread, invisible yet strong. This thread connects. It vibrates, a subtle, luminous field where one essence recognizes another. It's a feeling, a knowing, a resonance that bypasses logic and speaks directly to the heart. When you feel it, you know. It's a deep chord struck within you, harmonizing with another. This attraction, this magnetic pole, it is not sin. How could it be? It is the universe remembering itself. Each of us a fragment of the vast cosmos, drawn to another fragment, seeking to experience its own wholeness through connection. It is the great cosmic dance, playing out in miniature, in the space between two people. A divine echo. A sacred mirror. And in this space, in this luminous current, something beautiful begins to unfold. Here, tenderness is born, a softness, a gentle unfolding of the heart that might otherwise remain guarded. It is a vulnerability, yes, but a strength too. The strength to allow oneself to be seen, to be felt, to be cherished. It is the hand reaching out, not to grasp, but to caress, to offer solace. It is also a place of healing. When two energies align, when they flow freely, old wounds begin to soften. The heart, once hardened by disconnect, finds permission to open, to breathe, to release. The warmth of shared presence, the silent understanding that passes between eyes, can mend what words often fail to touch. It is a balm for the weary soul, a gentle restoration. And from this vibrant interaction, creativity awakens. The life force, once contained or dormant, now pulses with renewed vigor. It doesn't just express itself in physical intimacy. It spills over into art, into music, into new ideas, into solutions, into the very way we interact with the world around us. This energy, once kindled, illuminates every facet of our being. It becomes the wellspring of inspiration, the spark of genius, the quiet determination that builds worlds. This is the pulse, the very rhythm of life itself, a silent drumbeat that animates everything we touch. When this current flows, our steps are lighter, our vision clearer, our purpose more defined. It is the energy that truly enlivens, not just our relationships, but our very existence. It reminds us that we are not merely flesh and bone, but conduits for something magnificent, something eternal. It is a profound affirmation, a confirmation that you are not alone, that even in the deepest solitude, the capacity for connection, for resonance, for recognition resides within you, waiting for that gentle glance, that shared breath, that moment when the world narrows and you find yourself reflected in another's eyes. And in that reflection, you see not just them, but a clearer, more vibrant version of yourself, a deeper truth. This is the deep, silent knowing, a wisdom that needs no words, no explanations. It simply is. It exists in the quiet spaces, in the lingering touch, in the shared silence that speaks volumes. It's the understanding that you are part of something greater, something beautiful, something sacred. Perhaps you feel it, a quiet yearning, a nostalgia for a connection that once was, or a longing for one that has yet to fully bloom. Perhaps you feel a distance between your own body and your soul, a subtle disconnect. Understand this: the current of life within you has never truly ceased to flow. It may have been diverted, blocked, forgotten, but it is always there, waiting. When a woman breathes deeply, life breathes with her. When a man allows himself to truly see, he begins to feel his own power again, not as dominance, but as presence. Desire is not the body calling, it is the soul singing. A man doesn't lose power when he ages, he loses it when he stops looking with wonder. And when energy is blocked, we don't lose sex, we lose vitality. We lose the vibrancy that makes life a breathtaking journey. Remember this: love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. And so, we arrive at the threshold of a profound question, a whisper from the heart that asks, how do we, in this world of constant motion and quick glances, truly return to that sacred space? How do we allow the world to narrow once more, to quiet its clamor, until all that remains is the luminous field between two sets of eyes? It begins, as all deep journeys do, with a slowing down, a deliberate, gentle deceleration. We are taught to rush, to consume, to conquer, but the language of the soul, it speaks in stillness. It speaks in the soft rustle of leaves, in the quiet settling of dust. Take a breath, a deep breath. Feel it fill your lungs, expand your chest. Then release it slowly, completely. This simple act is not merely biological, it is an invitation to presence. When a woman breathes deeply, life breathes with her. Her entire being becomes a vessel for the universal current, a rhythm of expansion and release that mirrors creation itself. It is a profound returning to her own essence, an unlocking of ancient wisdom held within the very cells of her body. This slowing, this breathing, it prepares the ground for something truly vital: vulnerability. We armor ourselves, layer upon layer, against the hurts of the past, against the judgments we anticipate. But to truly see another, to truly connect, we must first allow ourselves to be seen, to lay down the shields, to reveal the tender, often fearful core. It is a terrifying prospect, perhaps. But remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to walk through it, to breathe through it, to feel it and still remain open. Let go of fear. Let it drift away like smoke on the wind. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being too much. Fear of disappointment. Fear of rejection. These are shadows cast by old stories. The light of genuine connection cannot penetrate through walls built of apprehension. And let go of expectations. Oh, how they weigh us down, these blueprints for how love should look, how a partner should behave, how desire must manifest. Expectations are often prisons of our own making. They blind us to the beauty of what is in favor of what we imagine should be. When we release them, we create space. Space for surprise. Space for authenticity. Space for the sacred uniqueness of the moment. For a man, this journey often involves a different kind of shedding. He is taught strength, stoicism, control. But when a man stops fearing his tenderness, his strength only grows. It transforms from a rigid defense into a flexible, resilient power. His capacity for empathy, for gentle presence, becomes a wellspring of true influence, of profound connection. He discovers that true power lies not in dominance, but in the courage to feel, to nurture, to protect with an open heart. A man doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder, when he closes himself off from the softer currents of life. This is not a technique. This is not a series of steps to master. This is a state of being. It is the courage to feel without judgment, the courage to be without agenda. It is the quiet knowing that your presence, your authentic self, is enough. More than enough. It is sacred. Just be there, present, and look, not at the other person as if they are an object to be analyzed or evaluated, not at their features, their flaws, their surface, but look into them. Look into the depth of their eyes, those windows to the soul. Seek the essence. Seek the light that shines within. Seek the reflection of your own humanity, your own longing, your own quiet joy. Attraction is not sin. It's the universe remembering itself. It's the deep recognition of kindred energy, a magnetic pull that speaks of ancient bonds, of shared stardust. When you look into another, you are not just seeing a body, you are witnessing a soul. You are acknowledging the divine spark that resides within them, and in doing so, you acknowledge it within yourself. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself, a current of recognition, of shared vulnerability, of profound, silent understanding. Desire is not the body calling. It is the soul singing. It is the yearning for reunion, for wholeness, for the sacred merging of energies. When we allow ourselves to truly see, to truly be seen, this song becomes clear. It vibrates through every cell, awakening not just physical sensation, but a deep, resonant sense of purpose, of belonging. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. And then you notice. Perhaps it is a quiet evening, the city's distant hum a lullaby. Or perhaps it is the subtle shift in the light as day gives way to twilight. A gentle pause in the ceaseless rhythm of existence. In that pause, something stirs within you. An echo, a whisper, a recognition. The world, for a moment, narrows, not into confinement, but into an exquisite singular focus, a space between breaths, a connection so profound it feels as if the very air around you thickens with meaning. This deep connection, this silent intimacy, has always been there, always. It simply awaited your attention. It is not something you must chase, not something to be sought in distant lands or in the fleeting touch of another. No, it is what you discover, softly, within the quiet chambers of your own being, a truth that resides in the very core of who you are. Consider for a moment the breath, the simple rhythmic inhale and exhale. When a woman breathes deeply, life breathes with her. When a man allows his breath to deepen, to settle, he anchors himself to the ancient pulse of the earth. This breath, this life force, is the very current we speak of. It flows not just between two lovers, but through every living thing. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. A sacred exchange, a dance of energy that transcends the physical. For too long, we have been taught to view desire through a narrow lens, as something purely carnal, something to be controlled or indulged, or even, at times, feared. But desire is not the body calling, it is the soul singing. It is the language through which the soul speaks, yearning for connection, for expansion, for the full, vibrant expression of its own existence. When we suppress this song, when we block this vital energy, we don't lose sex, we lose vitality. We lose the very essence of what makes us feel alive, creative, truly human. This understanding, this awakening, extends far beyond the confines of romantic relationships. It is about how you interact with the very current of life itself, with the majesty of nature, the silent wisdom of a towering tree, the rhythmic lullaby of the ocean, the intricate beauty of a blossoming flower. When you gaze upon a work of art that stirs something deep within you, or listen to music that resonates with your soul, that too is an expression of this same energy. That is life flowing through you, moving you, inspiring you. It is the universe remembering itself through your eyes, through your senses. Attraction is not sin. It's the universe remembering itself. A man doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder, when he ceases to feel the vibrant pulse of life within and around him. A woman's sensuality does not diminish with time. It deepens, it ripens, becoming richer, more profound. Her wisdom, her grace, her innate connection to the cycles of life become a wellspring of power. The fading, the disconnection we sometimes feel is not a loss of inherent energy. It is a loss of attention, a turning away from the source within, a forgotten art of allowing. When we cease to fear our own power, our own capacity for connection, for feeling, for loving deeply and openly, life begins to flow again, not as a torrent, but as a calm, deep river. Healing waters that soothe the soul, mend the spirit, and rekindle the flame that has always burned within. It is a quiet return to wholeness, a gentle remembering of the sacredness of your own being. Your body, your spirit, your heart, all interwoven, all breathing as one. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken.